Hello and welcome, everyone. Elena Rarick here with Transform Publishing, and I am here with one of my very special clients and upcoming author, Henry Saas, and his wife, Deborah Saas. Hello and welcome. How are you two doing?
Hello. Welcome. We're doing great.
Good. Well, today's a little bit different. Henry is not in the hot seat, and instead, Deborah is. And we are going to talk all about Henry, and he is not allowed to interrupt. How do you like that, Henry?
I'm good with that.
All right, perfect. So as you can see, Henry's book cover is behind me. It is titled Honor Our Sons. So we're going to hear a little bit from Deborah today to see how her experience and what her thoughts are about Henry becoming an author. So Deborah, are you ready to be in the hot seat?
All right. Hope
Okay,
it's not too hot.
I'll try to keep it a little bit cool for you.
Okay.
All right, let's start off at the top. So how do you feel about Henry becoming an author?
I'm happy that he is finally getting it off his bucket list. I know he's been wanting to, it's been mulling around in his brain for a long time. And the first 3 chapters he's had for many, many years. And I think he's excited, and I'm excited that he's realizing his dream of really bringing it to fruition in a nicely done book.
Very good. Henry, I will say you're lucky to have such a supportive wife. Not everybody has a supportive spouse, do they?
Not everybody does.
Yep, you're very lucky.
I am blessed.
All right, next question, Deborah. What is the best part of your experience watching Henry write his book?
Well, most of the time I just see the back of his head with earphones on, staring at the computer and hearing typing. It's just been exciting to watch him bring it out from something that was just a couple chapters to watch him look around and then type and just bring it all out. It's exciting to watch, but most of the time I'm sitting in another chair behind him and I just see the back of his head and his determination to finish it. So
Awesome. And I've noticed, I don't know if every chapter, but I've noticed that you've been reading the chapters as he writes them and giving him feedback and things like that. So that too would be part of your experience. So how was that for you? Was that fun?
Yes, it is. I'm an English major, and so I have written a million papers. I know there's different styles. Everyone has a different style and a different voice. I look at it sometimes for punctuation. Sometimes if it doesn't make sense to me, a lot of times what is in your head doesn't always come out of your fingers correctly. So just kind of making sure if I can understand it, it's okay to at least send it to you where you can refine it a little bit better. But I really do enjoy reading it too.
Very good. So I don't know if there were any shock factors, but tell us, were there any shock factors that you experienced while he was writing his book and through the whole process?
Yes, I think some of the shock factors, I didn't think he would be as open with some subjects that he chose. I just reading his initial book was Honor His Sons on what he did for the initiation. And then it start going into deeper chapters and the way he felt and some of his childhood experiences, some of his, he likes to call it before he was a mature man, some of those experiences, I just don't want, I guess I always want to protect him. I don't want people to think anything less of him, but Henry always says, the more I know you, the more I love you. So I'm hoping that was my shock, that he went into deeper things than I had expected.
Well, I'm sure it was shocking. However, I will say for the reader and the audience, we love it and we want more. So, Henry, over to you. Thank you for being vulnerable and opening up to us, because it really makes for a good read. And it helps us to see that if someone is where you used to be, that they too can overcome that and be to where you are today. So it's really important that that's in there. And I know we had talks prior to writing the book about what is going in and what's not going in. So I was very pleased to see that Henry committed and shared some of that vulnerability with us. So thank you, Henry.
You're welcome, but like you told me, I can't run from my past, and my past is my past. That's how I've always looked at it. And have I made mistakes? Absolutely. But that's been part of my growth and my transition from acting or behaving like a boy in a man's body to becoming a mature man. So I hope that through my mistakes, or at least through my transparency and my disclosure, that other men can connect with me or understand that we all have our thing, whatever it happens to be. And sometimes there's a fine line between a man who does one thing versus a man who does another. That line can be really, really thin. It's just one decision away. So hopefully as I said, the things that I write, the things that I disclose, the sharing of my story can help another man or another couple realize that there's hope, and that a bunch of men poured into me, and hopefully my book will pour into them, and it will help save men from making some of the same mistakes I made.
Absolutely, because every person who reads your book, they're going to be imperfect. And an imperfect person cannot connect with a perfect person. So I like that you're showing your imperfections in the book, because then they'll relate.
Let's hope so.
Yes. All right, Deborah, back to you. What do you think about the content of Henry's book, the overall message, or maybe there's a message inside that really stuck out to you?
I think what sticks out for me, if I didn't know him, he sounds like the best guy ever. But he is. The things that he writes on bringing flowers or doing his best, or if he says he's calling at 6 o'clock, he'll set an alarm for 3 minutes until 6 to make sure he calls at 6. If we're supposed to be at someone's house at 8 o'clock and we get there at 1:45, I personally would go up to the door and say, I know we're a little bit early, but Henry will wait until 8 o'clock because he gave his word. I had just asked him the other day, there was something in the book where he said it was many passages, rites of passage. And he stopped his son in the hall and said, I'm proud of you for getting your driver's license, and there's more responsibility now. And he shook his hand and they went on. I said, did you really shake his hand and give him a hug? He said, yeah. And just the things that he writes, he's not making up. And he's a good, decent man. And I'm glad it shows in the book. And I just want to impress on really how authentic he is, that he practices what he preaches, and that he just doesn't come across as not a goody two shoes, but just as an authentic, honest man that takes responsibility, leads courageously, and I always forget the third one.
Be proactive.
Be proactive. That's what he lives by.
Very good. I love it. And yes, I vividly remember some of those places in the book, like making you coffee and all the nice things he does for you and his kids and his community and different things like that. And I thought, man, every man and woman should read this book. They
I
really
agree.
should. It's
Hmm.
very, very insightful and educational. So, all right, next question. Did you learn anything about Henry through reading the book? Now, I know you just said that you learned that he really did shake his son's hand, but is there anything on a deeper level that you learned about him?
I don't want to sound shallow, but not really. We've known each other a long time, even before we had worked together for years. He's very transparent. Nothing really shocked me. I don't think I learned anything that I didn't know because we talk a lot, we share a lot. Again, I think the buzzword is he's very transparent. So nothing, no, I don't think there's anything that I learned that I didn't already know.
Very good. That's
What
great.
do you
I hope not. I hope it was that way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's really good because some people, I mean, I know if my husband wrote a book, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I learned 20 chapters about him. My husband's not real talkative. So that's good that you guys have that communication. All right, final question. What would you like to say to Henry about his accomplishments on becoming an author? Aw.
I'm just very proud of him, that he took the step out in faith that it could be something that he's dreamed of. To write a book is an amazing accomplishment, and I'm just so proud of him that, whether it goes anywhere or sells any copies at all, I'm just so proud of him that he, accepted the challenge of contacting you, and you've pushed him, and he's delivered, and just, I'm just proud is the only word that comes to mind. I mean, besides that, it, just makes me love him more, but I'm just so proud of him.
Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and end the interview because that was powerful. And Deborah and Henry, thank you for being here and doing this. For me, I will say, because I did have to ask and a little bit of begging, like, come on, let's do it. So I know Henry is more of the one who is definitely willing to be on camera every week with me. But Deborah, thanks for coming and getting behind the camera and doing this.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right, everyone, stay tuned because Honor Our Sons will be in print very soon. But meanwhile, you can go to Facebook and join the Honor Our Sons Facebook group and follow along with Henry's journey of finishing the writing and publishing of his book.